It's just catering to the casual community, and it's such a divisive change. Not to mention, it just feels like a cop-out from BSG. Instead of improving the anti-cheat, BSG is just like, here is PvE servers. Okay guys, this is gonna be a very, very controversial take. I'm expecting that people that enjoy PvE are going to get pissed at me for sharing my perspective on this, but I'm gonna say it anyway, so fuck it. Unheard Edition came out and people were pissed. It added the PvE mode into the game, and it's been a month or two at this point, so the Unheard Edition dust has settled. What is the state of the game now? BSG, they've been putting a lot of effort into late wipe events, so we've been getting a lot of events recently, and a lot of them are focused on bringing players together into a central location, so there are PvP interactions. But I have noticed a few things that I want to share in this video. Again, it's gonna be quite the controversial take, but I'm gonna say it anyways. The release of PvE with Unheard ruined PvP servers. You might be saying, what is PvE's effect on PvP? Mid-tier players, mid-level players like myself, and higher level Giga Sweats, Giga Chads, we get screwed over by the existence of PvE servers. Not completely, but partially, because all of these, for lack of a better term, noobs and people that are too scared to engage in PvP but want to still play Tarkov go into PvE since they don't want to get fucked over by some dude that's been playing the game longer, or they don't have the time to play the game, so they just don't want to deal with it, or they're smoking the copium and they're like, everyone's a cheater, everyone that kills me is a cheater, I hate playing as cheaters, and they just want to play PvE to avoid cheaters, which is totally understandable. There are cheaters in this game, but half the time that these people complain about cheaters, it's a skill issue. This video is going to piss a lot of people off, but I'm going to say it anyway. Dying to a better player is a part of Tarkov. I don't care what anyone says. Dying in a PvP interaction is part of the game, and it's one of the obstacles that you have to overcome, one of the challenges that you have to face if you want to play Escape from Tarkov. I don't really agree with BSG's decision to divide the player base this much. I understand why they wanted to put PvE into the game. They want to cater to that casual audience. They want to cater to those gamer dads that just don't have the time to compete anymore. You know, like, I get it, but there are other ways to remedy this issue that I'll get into later in this video. And I just want to clarify, this video is not a hit piece on SPT Aki. SPT, that's its own thing. I think that SPT is perfectly fine to exist since it's kind of its own thing separate from PvE on live servers. Let me explain that a little bit. With SPT, people have to download third-party assets. People have to run their own servers. If they want to play with their friends, they have to download additional mods to play with their friends. SPT Aki allows the use of mods. It allows the use of third-party add-ons. So there is a niche for that. There's a place for that. Different from PvE on live. But if you're playing live Tarkov, live should be live. What the addition of PvE ends up doing is PvE is just the noob server or the dad server for people that don't want to get killed, and they want to put in, they only have an hour to play each day and they want to make progress that hour. And there's other ways, again, to get around that issue, but I don't agree that removing players from PvP server essentially is, and putting them into PvE is the way to fix that issue. So what this ends up doing is just turning PvE into the noob server, and PvP is just the late wipe enjoyers looking for fights, the Giga Chads who main this game ever since release, or the occasional cheater that's RMT. When you take all the lower skill bracket players and move them to PvE essentially, then what you're doing is it throws off the balance of the average skill level of players in any given raid. And it, not to mention, it makes late wipe raids feel emptier than usual. Like, I don't care if I'm killing a dude with just his gun and a P.A.K.A. I still feel rewarded for winning a human PvP interaction where that human being has complicated thought patterns and tries to survive against another human being. Whether or not there's a gear differential there or a skill differential, it's still more rewarding to fight actual human opponents than have empty raids, because all the people that are too afraid to play PvP or don't have the time, quote unquote, to play PvP move and go play PvE. I just don't think that that's a good way to divide the player base. I don't think that's a good decision because it's just so divisive in the two levels of skill, the two skill brackets. So PvP interactions are PvP interactions. Doesn't matter if the dude's a hatchet runner just looting the marked room and trying to leave, or if he's got got like nothing on him but a gun. Like, it doesn't matter. It's still more rewarding to kill those guys, to fight those guys. It's more fun to fight those guys than not have them there at all. And this is like, I'm speaking from the perspective of a person that enjoys PvP. So I get that a lot of people might not be that, but my opinion is if you're playing Escape from Tarkov, you should be expecting the occasional PvP encounter. That's just part of the game. But anyways, here's a hot take. If you're going to play Tarkov, then accept the fact that there will be the occasional player interaction. Tarkov isn't Tarkov if you're playing just against bots. The top level of players, the people that have been playing this game since basically release and have like 6,000 hours, 11,000 hours, these people aren't happy with these changes either, because they have to fight each other way more often, and hunting non-chatted, non-experienced PMCs is way less common now. And you might say, why would you want to bully people in the game? Like, why can't you just let me go and play PvE on my own and have fun? I would say getting hunted down by that 6,000 hour chat is part of the Tarkov experience. It's part of the game. That goes for both the guy that's getting hunted down and the guy that's hunting you down. That cat and mouse, if you will, is part of the game. Part of the game mechanics. It's part of the gameplay flow. And without that, you're taking out a piece of the gameplay. So PvE servers existing on live just removes certain aspects of the game, like in that example. But these interactions that we would have had to have that cat and mouse interaction are much less common because these people just don't want to go against other players. And like, I've seen the other side of the argument where people talk about, you know, why do PvP players have to be upset how PvE players want to enjoy the game? Well, we're losing an aspect of the game, essentially. We played this game, we put in the time to learn the maps, to learn fight mechanics, recoil, flanking, and we want to be rewarded for learning these skills and playing the game and playing with the playstyle that we've developed. Now, with the addition of unheard PvE servers, it removes a piece of the game and interferes with part of our playstyle. But anyways, it's just catering to the casual community, and it's such a divisive change. Not to mention, it just feels like a cop-out from BSG. Instead of improving the anti-cheat, BSG is just like, here is PvE servers. You'll never see a hacker if you just play against bots. Like, it just feels like a cop-out in some ways. Like, we already have SPT. If you want to run your server, you want to have a personal EFT server with your friends or by yourself, you can download SPT and have that. Like, it already exists. The fact that they added PvE servers to live just takes away more players from the PvP servers that would have been on PvP if it wasn't for the PvE servers. And you might say, like, that's so toxic that you're saying that. You just want these interactions so that you can bully other players. Well, that is part of the game. I die to better players all the time, and I learn something each time. It's part of the game to die to a more geared player, to die to a more experienced player. If you're too scared to face that, then maybe you shouldn't be playing Escape from Tarkov to begin with. Or maybe just go download SPT. Like, I don't think that PvE servers need to be a thing. PvE, it's good for people who don't want to get killed by other players and they just want to have a relaxing experience, or they don't like dying, or they're like a dad gamer. But I've seen it really have an effect on other parts of the player base, like the late wipe enjoyers or the people with a PvP focused playstyle. So how can we work around this and satisfy these people who don't have as much time to play, or they want minimal player interaction, or they want less PvP interactions because they're not confident in their skills? Well, there's other ways to remedy this issue without just dividing the player base into PvP, PvE. So first off, they can add in an MMR matchmaking system so that if you're a new player and you don't want to go against that guy that has 6,000 hours and is hunting people down to kill, then you're just going to get paired against people that have a similar KD as you, or have a similar playtime as you, or a similar level in the wipe as you are. You know, there's a lot of ways that they can rank people based on performance and then match those people together, even if that means smaller lobbies, to maintain consistent queue times so the queue times don't get too out of hand. They can prioritize matchmaking fairness over the amount of players in the raid. So say you're playing Streets of Tarkov, instead of you have to have 14 people in the raid, it prioritizes having fair matchmaking first and then player count in the raid. So you might have 9 players on Streets of Tarkov, but everybody's kind of at a similar skill level and fights feel more fair to play, and you're not not just getting killed by some dude with infinite more map knowledge than you, right? That's an example of that. Going off of smaller lobby sizes, another fix that they could do is remove the PMC fixed lobby count on each of the maps and let players select the PMC count for that lobby. So for example, I am a player that doesn't really enjoy PvP that much, but I do enjoy winning the occasional PvP interaction, or I do like to engage with PvP every, like, I don't know, let's say 2 to 3 raids. I like to PvP like 1 time maybe. In that case, maybe when I go into reserve, I set the lobby limit to be 3 PMCs on the entire map. So once I queue up, I know that I'm not going to be forced to PvP as much, and there'll sometimes be that moment where I do encounter one of the other 2 players in that lobby if the limit is 3, or maybe it's 4, or whatever, right? Arbitrary number. And on the other side, PvP sweats and people that want to engage in PvP, they're going to choose 14 players on factory or something like that. They're going to choose the max amount of players on every map because they want that highest probability of engaging in a PvP interaction. So that could be a way that BSG makes the player base less divisive and brings people back onto PvP servers, but also gives the player a bit more control on how their experience feels, if that makes sense. So, you know, again, people that don't want to PvP, maybe they only want 2 to 3 other PMCs on a map, or maybe just 1 other guy. People that want PvP will just pick the max amount of people every single raid and just remove PMC limits by map entirely from the game. But anyways, that's my rant on PvE ruining PvP. I'm done yapping about the game. I get that this is a really controversial topic. Go ahead, dislike the video, you know, tell me I'm a fucking idiot. Tell me I'm just some guy that just wants to bully low-level players and just like get free kills, but I still stand by how I feel about it. PvE servers have divided the player base so much to the point where it ruins part of the game. It ruins people's playstyles. That people that have spent time on this game, people that have played the game a lot and played with a PvP playstyle. The PvE servers being added has an unprecedented side effect. But anyways, guys, that's the video. Blame me in the comments. There we go. That's my thoughts on PvE ruining Tarkov.